Hey, hi guys. So, welcome to the French Open finals preview between Nadal and Ruud. So, I think this is going to be one of those finals where there is an upcoming player, an upcoming star who is playing his first final against obviously the more experienced, the king of clay. So, I really don't think that this would be a very close match, to be honest. But the good thing about this match would be that it's a final, and Nadal is going for his 14th Grand Slam title at the Roland Garros and 22nd Grand Slam title overall. And the significance of this match is that because Nadal has been able to beat three or four top players en route to this final, I think maybe he would find it a bit easier in this final as compared to all those other players. Now let's talk about. These players haven't had any head-to-head meetings, so obviously we don't have any last three meetings or last five meetings for them. And Ruud was also part of the Rafael Nadal's academy, so he knows Nadal. Nadal is his idol, so it would be a great opportunity for him to play against Nadal at this big stage. Now, if you guys don't know about Ruud, I think he's a very good player. He's a consistent player. He has good clay court performances in the past, in this year specifically, and he has a good forehand, good backhand, decent serve. He's very good at the net, and he is a very good mover also. He has good hand skills, court craft. So he's a sort of player who is really difficult to play against. But if you are Nadal, obviously you come up with so much credentials that it's hard for anyone to match Nadal. So if you see players like Monaco, or maybe Davidenko or David Ferrer, maybe you could relate those players with Ruud. So that is the type of player he is. Obviously, he is a very good clay courter, and he hits with a lot of topspin also, and he has a very good forehand. I have seen a lot of his matches, and I saw his forehand as to be the best shot. His backhand is also good, but what I have not seen is not too many backhands down the line. So we'll discuss about this that in the upcoming slide. So let's get started. So the key shots or strategy or factors for this match, I've just put them in one slide only. So for Nadal, I think on paper he clearly looks at as the favorite. He has got all the shots. There is no set strategy. Now, because they are playing for the first time, it will be really hard to predict what strategy one should apply. But looking at the general game style, I would say Nadal has to be a bit aggressive, because Ruud is not that aggressive in his game style. So if Nadal is a bit aggressive, I think he would find it easier to win the match. Second is to pepper Ruud's backhand. Now, as I mentioned, that Ruud has a good backhand, but he uses the backhand down the line less often, and that is something which Nadal will like. He will try to go cross court a lot of times to Ruud's backhand, expecting that maybe that backhand would again come to Nadal's forehand, and this way Nadal would be able to dictate play because of his top spin, because of his great forehand kick. Maybe Ruud would be forced outside the tram lines, and then Nadal would find an open court to hit the shot. So that would be the strategy that Nadal would apply. Obviously, net game is good for Nadal. Fitness is the key, I think, for Nadal. Having played so tough matches in the past three meetings, 4+ hours against both Felix and Djokovic, and then 3+ hours against Zverev. I think Nadal's fitness is the key here. He has to finish the match early. He has to finish the match in straight sets. Somehow, if he tries to rally a lot with Ruud, that would not play in Nadal's favor. Even though Nadal would be able to win points, but it does not play well due to the fitness issues that Nadal has had in the previous matches and before the tournament. So he must be really exhausted after all those big matches. So he should try to finish the match in straight sets, and he is, I think, pretty much accomplished player to understand that fact, and I think he will come very aggressive, all guns blazing, and he'll try to finish the match as quick as possible. Now, for Rude, I think it's a first big final against his idol. He would be really nervous in this match. First of all, his game is good, but I don't think it's good enough to beat Nadal, to be honest, at this stage. As much as I've seen of Rude, maybe he's still an upcoming player and he could adapt, he could get more skills, more experience. But at this point, at this moment, I think Nadal's credentials are much better, and if Nadal is fit, this match should be finished in straight sets. With due respect to Ruud, I think he's a very good player. So talking about the positives for Ruud, I think he is a great mover on the court. He has good court craft. So if there are points at the net, he's good at winning those. So if you compare him with players like Medvedev or maybe Zverev or any other players who are not that comfortable at the net, I think Ruud has a really good presence of mind. So he can finish those points. He could slice and dice and try to hit good volleys also. So I think that is where Ruud's strength lies, and of course his movement and his good topspin shots. So he's a complete player in one aspect. But against Rafa on clay at the French Open, I think it will be hard for him to get a strategy. Of course, I mean, if he comes up with a brand new strategy, if he goes for his shots, if he tries to play more aggressive, anything can happen. But looking at his general style, it might not be good enough for Nadal. It's similar to Andy Murray. So if Andy Murray is playing against Nadal at the French Open, now he's a great player. He has good forehand, good backhand, good serve. He's good at the net as well, good mover as well. Everything is there in the game. But when you compare it with Nadal, it's not a good matchup at French Open. So maybe Murray could win at the Australian Open if he plays well. Murray could win at Wimbledon if he plays well against Nadal. But at the French Open, you have to have something extra, or a really big game like Soderling or Zverev, or than one of the best defenses like Djokovic. So if all those things are not there, it's really hard for anyone to beat Nadal unless Nadal is not fit enough, and maybe he's having a really bad day in terms of his forehand or backhand. So this is the key shots, strategies and factors, guys. And now let's talk about the prediction. So I think Nadal should win comfortably in straight sets. Of course, he has to be fit enough. That is yet to be seen. But I think if he's able to stay fit for like 2 or 3 hours in the match, he should be able to win it in straight sets. Now, what will be the significance of this title for Nadal? I think this will be huge. He could extend his lead on the Grand Slam titles. It could be 22nd Grand Slam title for him. That would mean it would be two more than Djokovic and Federer. And I think that is a huge lead given Federer is already 40 plus. Djokovic is also 35 and he's not in good form. Nadal is also 35 plus. So I think any Grand Slam, even one Grand Slam more, is a huge lead at this stage, because young players, upcoming players, are playing really well, be it the likes of Tsitsipas, Zverev, then Medvedev. All these players are consistently making it to the semi-finals and finals, and they are good enough to beat these guys. So I think it's really important for all these top three players to win as many tournaments as possible, as quickly as possible, because in next 1 or 2 years, I think the guard will really shift. And if Nadal or Djokovic, any one of them, is not there or is under pressure, I think it would definitely favor the young players, because they would be looking to beat these guys as long as these guys are playing, just to gain more confidence. And I think that really means that any Grand Slam title would mean a lot in terms of the overall lead. Okay. Of course, this would also be a huge victory for Nadal, given the amount of matches that he had to play. Before the tournament, he was not sure about his fitness. Even in this tournament, he was exhausted and he had to win three big matches. Of course, one of those matches, Zverev retired and it was not completed, but still, it was a 3+ hour battle that Nadal had to fight. So it will be a huge victory for Nadal. It would be a record extending French Open title as well, and another chapter added to the GOAT debate. So we'll talk about the GOAT debate in a moment, but it will also bring a much needed ranking lift to Nadal. So right now, Nadal, I think, was ranked at number 5 when he entered this tournament, and that is why he had to play Djokovic in the quarters. I think it does not help Nadal if he goes with this at Wimbledon or US Open. In French Open, of course, he's so good that he could beat any player in any round. But if it's Wimbledon, or because Wimbledon courts, as we know, in the first 2 or 3 rounds, because the grass is new, it's quicker and it's really difficult to win for Nadal, because he has to get down on some of the shots. It doesn't help his knees, of course. So that is why I think if Nadal is able to improve his ranking and play big guys in the semifinals or finals. That would really help Nadal to gain some momentum in the tournament, and also allow for the court to sort of slow down a little bit if we are talking about Wimbledon and even in the US Open. So I would say this victory would definitely provide a ranking lift to Nadal. Now, coming to the GOAT debate, I really think that this chapter will be a new one to the GOAT debate, and people would start talking about it because Nadal recently won the Australian Open, which is not a French Open. Sometimes people say that Nadal has won most of the titles at Roland Garros, which is true, but that is something unthinkable for any other player to have won 13 or 14 Grand Slam titles. So I think a new chapter will be added. Of course, the Grand Slam title lead would be improved to two Grand Slams. 22nd Grand Slam would be there for Nadal, and looking at his fitness and looking at his game style, I mean, I still think when he plays against Djokovic, he's a bit nervous. But looking at the current form that Djokovic has, he hasn't played much matches himself. So it would be really interesting to see how Djokovic comebacks after this defeat at Wimbledon or at US Open, and how he tries to bring that intent back in his game. Because when I saw him against Nadal, he didn't look that aggressive as he has been seen in some of his previous matches, shouting and pumping himself up. It was not visible against Nadal in the first couple of sets. He was laughing in the second set when he started winning a few points, and that was strange to see. So I would definitely want Djokovic to bring that intent back in himself, try to win more points, more matches, and maybe try to challenge Nadal in terms of Grand Slams. Because if Nadal is fit, even if he plays Wimbledon, I still think Wimbledon for the last 2 or 3 years, Nadal has been playing well, and it has taken a good performance from Federer or Djokovic to beat Nadal. So I still think that if Nadal plays Wimbledon, if he's playing well, if he's fit enough, he could still win that tournament. And if he could win that tournament, US Open, obviously he has already won so many times. So 23, 24 Grand Slams still look to be possible for Nadal. So I really think that the GOAT debate is still alive, although game wise, I mean, we have discussed it a lot of times. It's a hypothetical question, but this victory will be huge